If you were alive in the year 1200, there was a monster coming for you. He didn't care about your religion, he didn't care about your king, and he didn't care about your walls. To the people of Europe and Asia, he wasn't a man, he was a punishment sent from the heavens. They called him the Scourge of God. This is the story of the man who started as a starving slave and ended up conquering more land than the Roman Empire in a single lifetime. He killed so many people that the carbon dioxide levels of the earth actually dropped, cooling the planet. This is the life of Genghis Khan. But before he was the Khan, he was just a scared boy named Temujin. Legend says when he was born, he was clutching a clot of blood in his hand, the size of a knucklebone, a sign that he was born to kill. But his early life wasn't about conquering, it was about surviving. When Temujin was 9 years old, his father, a tribal chief, was poisoned by rival Tatars. In the brutal world of the Mongolian Steppe, a chief needs to be strong. The tribe took one look at the dead father and the 9-year-old boy, and they made a cold calculation. They abandoned them. They took the horses, the food, and the warriors, leaving Temujin, his mother, and his siblings to die in the winter snow. They shouldn't have survived. They ate wild onions, insects, and rats. But this suffering destroyed Temujin's innocence. When he was a teenager, his older half-brother Bekta began bullying him and stealing food from the family. In the civilized society, you complain to your mother. In the steppe, you handle it. Temujin and his younger brother stalked Bekta in the tall grass and shot him dead with arrows. When his mother screamed at him, calling him a killer, Temujin didn't cry. He simply stared back. He had learned the most important lesson of his life. Power is the only thing that matters. If you have it, you live. If you don't, you die. As a young man, Temujin made a blood pact with a charismatic warrior named Jamukha. They were Andas, blood brothers. They promised to conquer the world together. But as Temujin's power grew, a philosophical divide formed that would tear them apart. Jamukha believed in the old ways, aristocracy. He thought only men of noble blood should lead. Temujin, however, was a radical. He believed in meritocracy. He didn't care if you were a shepherd or a prince. If you were loyal and could fight, you rose to the top. This idea was dangerous. It inspired the poor and the slaves of other tribes to defect and join Temujin. He wasn't just building an army, he was building a revolution. Eventually, it came down to a civil war between the two brothers. In the end, Temujin won. Jamukha was captured. According to the secret history of the Mongols, Temujin offered his brother forgiveness. He wanted to rule together, but Jamukha refused. He said, "There is only room for one sun in the sky." He asked for a noble death, to have his back broken without spilling blood. Temujin granted his wish. With his last rival gone, in 1206, a massive council was held. The shamans declared that the eternal blue sky had ordained him the ruler of everything, from the ocean to the mountains. He was no longer Temujin. He was Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. Now the World War began. The Mongol army was a machine of perfection. They could ride for days without stopping, drinking their horses' blood to stay alive. They used a composite bow that could shoot 500 meters, double the range of European bows. They could shoot backward while riding at full gallop. First he crushed China, but his most brutal campaign was against the Khwarazmian Empire, which is modern-day Iran and Afghanistan. Originally, Genghis didn't want war. He sent a trade caravan of 450 men to the Sultan of Khwarazm, offering friendship. The Sultan's governor, arrogant and foolish, accused them of being spies. He killed the merchants and stole their goods. Genghis gave them one last chance. He sent 3 ambassadors to demand justice. The Sultan shaved the beards of the ambassadors and sent them back in shame. This was the biggest mistake in the history of warfare. Genghis unleashed hell. He didn't just invade, he exterminated. He brought 200,000 horsemen. When he arrived at the city where his men were killed, he poured molten silver into the eyes and ears of the governor. He diverted a river to wash the Sultan's birthplace off the map. He salted the earth so nothing would ever grow there again. Historians estimate that the population of Persia dropped from 2.5 million to 250,000. He stacked the skulls of civilians into massive pyramids outside the city gates as a warning to anyone else who dared to defy him. But here is the paradox. While he was a monster to his enemies, he was a visionary to his people. Under the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol peace, you could walk from Poland to Korea with a gold plate on your head and never be robbed. He established the first international postal system. He created laws that protected women and children. He declared total religious freedom, allowing Christians, Muslims, and Buddhists to live together. In 1227, during a campaign against the Western Shia, the great Khan died. The cause is a mystery. Some say he fell from his horse, others say he succumbed to old battle wounds. But his final order was his most secretive. He did not want a monument, he wanted to vanish. Legend says his funeral procession killed every single living thing they passed, human, bird, or animal, so that no one would see where he was going. Once he was buried, 1,000 horses trampled the ground until it was flat. Then they planted a forest over it and diverted a river to flow over the site. To this day, despite satellites and modern archaeology, the tomb of Genghis Khan has never been found. He rose from a starving boy in the snow to the owner of the world, and then disappeared back into the earth, leaving a legacy written in blood and gold. Was he the architect of the modern world, or its greatest villain? Subscribe and tell me your verdict in the comments below.